My wife's sister showed up at my door with a folder full of bank statements, and I still don't know what they mean. Let me back up. My name is Mark. I'm 42, married to Sarah for 12 years. We have 2 kids. Emma is 9, and Lucas is 7. We live in Portland. By all accounts, we had a normal marriage. Not perfect, but solid. We fought sometimes. We laughed most days. We split bills. She managed her money. I managed mine. Then Friday night, Sarah's sister Jenna showed up. Jenna was never my favorite person. She's always been kind of cold to me, but I figured that was just her personality. Sarah and Jenna weren't super close either, maybe lunch once a month, so when she knocked on the door at 7 p.m., I was surprised. Sarah answered. Jenna? What's wrong? Jenna's face was pale. She didn't even say hi to me. We need to talk, alone, Jenna said. They went upstairs. I could hear them talking, but not what they were saying. Low voices, angry voices. Then Sarah got loud. You're lying. You have to be lying. I wish I was, Jenna said back. 20 minutes later, Sarah came downstairs. She looked sick, like actually sick. She sat on the couch and didn't move for 5 minutes. What happened, I asked. Nothing. Jenna's just upset about something at work, Sarah said. But that was a lie. I know my wife. When she lies, she looks at her hands instead of my face. She was looking at her hands. Sarah, I said nothing, Mark. She got up and went to bed. It was 7:30 p.m. on a Friday. The next morning, I asked again. She said the same thing. I let it go for 2 days because I didn't want to push her, but on Monday morning, I found her sitting in the kitchen with her laptop at 5 a.m., looking at something. When she heard me come down, she closed it fast. What are you doing up? I asked. Couldn't sleep, she said. That's when I knew something was really wrong. Wednesday night, I was in the garage, looking for a screwdriver, when Sarah's laptop fell off the shelf. It landed open on the concrete. I picked it up to check if it was broken, and the screen was still on. I wasn't trying to snoop. I swear I wasn't. But there it was. A bank statement, not our joint account. A different bank. Account holder, Sarah Mitchell. That's her maiden name. We've been married for 12 years. Why would she have an account under her maiden name? I didn't click anything. I just closed it and put the laptop back. But my hands were shaking. That night I watched her, really watched her. She was on her phone a lot. She kept checking it, even when we were eating dinner with the kids. She excused herself twice to take calls in the other room. I didn't sleep that night. Thursday morning, I made a choice I'm not proud of. While Sarah was in the shower, I opened her laptop. I know, but I had to know. The bank statement was still there, open. Account balance, $247,000. $247,000. I couldn't breathe. I scrolled through the transactions. Money going in, lots of it, from the same source every month. A company called Meridian Holdings, LLC. I didn't recognize it. I took a photo with my phone. My hands were actually shaking. Then, I heard the shower turn off. I closed the laptop and walked downstairs like nothing happened. But my mind was racing. What is Meridian Holdings? Why is Sarah getting money from them? Why does she have a secret bank account? Why did Jenna come over with bank statements? I spent all day at work, not working, just thinking, just trying to figure out what this meant. A secret account with $250,000. That's not nothing. That's not a rainy day fund. That's something else. I came home early. Sarah's car was in the driveway. I walked inside and found her on the couch with her laptop. She was on a video call with someone. When she saw me, she jumped. I have to go, she said into the computer, and closed it. Who were you talking to? I asked. A friend, she said. Which friend? Mark, what's with the questions? Answer me. Who were you on a call with? She stood up. Her jaw was tight. I don't like your tone. I don't care. I want to know who you were talking to. It's none of your business. None of my, Sarah, we're married. Everything is my business. She stared at me for a long time. Then she said something that stopped my heart. You don't know me at all, do you? It wasn't a question. Before I could respond, her phone rang. She looked at it. Her face went white. She answered. Hello? She said quietly. I heard a man's voice on the other end. I couldn't make out words, but the tone was urgent, serious. Sarah's voice got shaky. I know. I told you he couldn't find out yet. Yet. Then she looked right at me and said, he just did. The man on the phone said something else. Sarah closed her eyes. No, she said. I'll tell him tonight. She hung up. We stood there in complete silence. Sarah, what is going on? What is Meridian Holdings? What's the account? Who was that on the phone? She took a breath. Mark, I need you to sit down. I don't want to sit down. I want answers. Just sit down. Please. I sat. She sat across from me, not next to me, across from me, like we were in a negotiation. That phone call, she said slowly. That was my lawyer. My boss implemented a rule that we had to clock out every time we used the bathroom, and it ended up destroying his entire operation. I worked at a logistics company called Summit Freight for 5 years. It was a small operation, maybe 30 employees, and the owner was this guy named Derek, who was about 55 and thought he was a genius manager. He'd been reading these business books about maximizing efficiency and started getting obsessed with what he called time leakage. One day he called a staff meeting. Derek stood in front of us with this proud look on his face and said, I've noticed people are taking too many bathroom breaks. Effective immediately, you clock out when you leave your desk for any reason. Bathroom, coffee, anything. You clock out, you go, you clock back in. I raised my hand and said, Derek, that doesn't make sense. We're salary. We don't punch a clock. He looked at me like I was stupid and said, we do now. I'm buying a system. This is costing me thousands. I said, but nobody's abusing it. We're all working way more than 40 hours a week. Derek just shook his head and said, I don't trust anyone anymore, and walked out. Just like that. So the system got installed. It was awkward as hell. We'd have to walk up to this digital clock every time we needed a 5-minute bathroom break. Everyone hated it. Our whole team was miserable. But here's what Derek didn't think about. We all started documenting everything. Not on purpose at first, just because the system was tracking it. I kept my own records too, because I'm that kind of person. 2 months later, Derek started getting complaints from clients about missed deadlines. Our productivity had actually gone down. Turns out people were holding their bathrooms longer, getting sick, and making more mistakes, but Derek blamed us. He said we were lazy and dishonest. Then one day I got called into his office. Derek was angry, like really angry. He said, "Your bathroom breaks are costing me money. You clocked out 15 times last week. That's 45 minutes. You're committing time theft." I said, "Derek, I work from 6 in the morning until 6 at night. That's 12 hours. I take maybe 3 bathroom breaks a day. That's not theft. That's being human." He said, "You agreed to the new policy. If you don't like it, you can leave." I said, "So you're telling me I can't use the bathroom?" Derek said, "I'm telling you that I'm paying you for work time, not bathroom time. Use it on your lunch break or don't work here." I walked out, but I didn't quit. I filed a complaint with the Department of Labor. Turns out Derek's bathroom clock system was illegal in our state. You can't force salary employees to clock out for bathroom breaks. It's considered wage theft on the employer's side. The department started investigating. When they showed up at Summit Freight, Derek panicked. He tried to delete the records, but the system was cloud-based. Everything was documented. His own system that he bought to catch us stealing time had caught him breaking labor laws. The investigation found that Derek had been undercutting our wages for months by forcing us to clock out. He owed back pay to everyone. The fine was huge, like $40,000. Derek tried to fight it, but he couldn't. The evidence was right there, in the system he installed himself. He ended up paying out, and word got around about what happened. Half his clients left because they didn't want to work with a company whose boss was that kind of person. I got a settlement check for $2,200. Derek had to rehire me because firing me right after the complaint would have been retaliation. But he made my life hell for a month until I found a new job. The best part? I heard from one of the guys still there that Derek eventually shut down the operation. He couldn't recover from the reputation damage. His own greed and his stupid bathroom rule destroyed everything he built. My husband's assistant blackmailed me with fake photos, so I dug into her life and destroyed her completely. This all started 3 years ago when Marcus hired Tiffany as his office assistant. She was 26, ambitious, and way too interested in my husband. I noticed it right away. The way she'd lean in when she talked to him, how she'd text him about non-work stuff, the excuses to stay late. But Marcus swore it was nothing. He said I was being paranoid. He said she was just good at her job. Then one night in November, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of me and some random guy kissing. Except it wasn't me. It was a photoshopped fake. The message said, "Your husband needs to promote me to office manager and give me a raise, or I'm sending these to his boss and his family." I knew it was her. I just knew. I called Marcus right away. "We need to talk about Tiffany." He got defensive immediately. "What about her? She just blackmailed me. She sent me fake photos saying she'll destroy your career if you don't promote her." Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "That's insane. She would never do that. You're making this up." "I'm making it up? Tiffany is professional. She's trustworthy. I don't know why you're always attacking her." I felt something break inside me in that moment. My husband didn't believe me. He chose her over me. So I decided to find out who Tiffany really was. I hired a private investigator. It cost me $4,000, but it was worth every penny. What he found was beautiful. Tiffany had a whole second life. She was running an online scam ring out of her apartment, targeting lonely men on dating apps. She'd catfish them, get them to send money, then disappear. She'd done this to at least 15 guys. She had fake IDs, bank accounts under different names, everything. But there was more. She had a record. 3 years ago, she'd been arrested for fraud and served 8 months in jail. She'd been lying on her job applications the entire time. Marcus's company had done a background check, but she'd covered her tracks using one of her fake identities. I also found out she'd been messaging Marcus on a private app. Not romantic stuff. Worse. She was gathering information about his work, his clients, his passwords. She was planning something bigger than just a promotion. I went to Marcus's boss, David, and showed him everything. The investigator's report, the messages, the fake IDs, the scam ring. David's face went white. "How did we hire her?" he kept asking. "She lied," I said, and my husband believed her. That was the key detail. I made sure David knew that Marcus had defended her, trusted her, and missed all the red flags. I made sure David understood that my husband's judgment was compromised. The police got involved the next day. Tiffany was arrested at her apartment, with all her fake IDs, her scam equipment, everything. She's facing federal fraud charges now. She'll probably do 5 to 7 years. Marcus's company fired him. Not because of Tiffany directly, but because David lost trust in his judgment. How could Marcus oversee other employees if he couldn't see what was right in front of him? How could they trust him with client information if he was that easily fooled? Marcus blamed me for destroying his career. He said I was jealous and vindictive, and that I'd gone too far. We fought about it for months. Then I found out he'd been sleeping with her. Not the whole time, but for the last year. The whole blackmail thing was her way of forcing him to leave me and choose her. We're divorced now. He lost his job, his reputation, his marriage, and his house in the settlement. Tiffany's in federal prison, and I'm here, rebuilding my life. Marcus still doesn't get it. He thinks I'm the villain. But he was the one who chose to believe a stranger over his wife. He was the one who slept with her. All I did was pull back the curtain and show everyone the truth. Sometimes the best revenge isn't something you do. It's just letting people see who someone really is. I found out my stepdad had been sleeping with my fiancée for 3 months, and they were planning to run off together with his company's money. Let me back up. My stepdad, Richard, built a construction company called Cornerstone Development over 25 years. The guy made $4.2 million a year. He was always bragging about his success, throwing it in my face, telling me I'd never amount to anything. I was working as a junior project manager at his company, not because I wanted to, but because my mom asked me to help out the family business. My fiancée, Sarah, was beautiful and smart. We'd been together for 5 years, engaged for 1. We were planning the wedding, we had a house deposit saved, everything felt solid. Then I got a call from my mom. She sounded weird on the phone. "Hey, can you come home? Richard and I need to talk to you about something." I drove over that night. When I walked in, Richard was standing in the kitchen with this guilty look on his face. My mom was sitting at the table, eyes red from crying. "What's going on?" I asked. Richard cleared his throat. "Sarah called me. She wanted me to know that, well, that she's leaving you. She's been seeing me for a few months now." I just stood there. Didn't say anything. Couldn't say anything. My mom spoke up. "He's leaving me too. They're taking money. A lot of money." I felt like the room was spinning. "How much money?" Richard got defensive. "It's my company. I can do what I want with it." "How much?" $700,000. "But it's..." I left. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I just walked out and sat in my car for 2 hours. Then I started thinking. Richard always bragged about his business practices. He was sloppy with his finances, kept bad records, cut corners on safety stuff, and I knew all of it. I'd worked there for 3 years. I'd seen things. I called a lawyer the next day. She told me the affair didn't matter legally, but the stolen money did. The problem was proving it in a way that would stick. So I got to work. I went back to Cornerstone. Richard didn't expect me. I had a key to the office. "What are you doing here?" he asked when he saw me. "Getting my stuff," I said. But I wasn't. I spent the next week photographing every file in that office, every invoice, every payment record, every check that didn't match up. Richard had been cooking the books for years, taking money from the company, hiding it, paying workers under the table to dodge taxes. The $700,000 for Sarah was just the latest theft. I also found emails between him and Sarah, detailed ones, about the money, about opening a business in Costa Rica, about how they'd disappear in 6 months. I gave all of it to my lawyer. She called the IRS, she called the State Labor Board, she called the police. 2 weeks later, the feds showed up at Cornerstone with warrants. Froze his accounts, started an investigation. Then, I sent copies of all the documents to his business partners. They panicked. They fired him immediately. They sued him for fraud. They wanted their money back. Richard tried calling me. I didn't answer. He texted, "Please don't do this. I'm sorry. I made a mistake." I didn't respond. 6 months later, Richard was facing federal charges for tax evasion, wire fraud, and money laundering. Sarah dropped him the moment the feds got involved. She tried to reach out to me, but I had her number blocked. Richard's business partners settled with the government. They kept the company running but forced Richard out completely. He lost his job, his reputation, and most of his money paying lawyers. The federal case took 2 years. He pleaded guilty, got 18 months in prison. I got promoted to project manager at Cornerstone under the new leadership. The company survived. I made more money than I ever would have under Richard. When Richard got out of prison, he tried to contact my mom to apologize. She didn't want to hear it. She divorced him, took her half of what was left, and moved on. I heard through the grapevine that he moved to a different state, got a job at Home Depot making $15 an hour, and lives alone in a small apartment. Sometimes he sends my mom letters asking for forgiveness. I found out my fiancé's mother had been stealing from our joint account for 3 years, and my fiancé knew the whole time. Let me back up. My name is Marcus. I'm 32, and I've been with Sarah for 6 years. We got engaged last year, and everything seemed perfect. We were saving for a house. We had about $85,000 in our joint account. That's 3 years of both of us working hard, making sacrifices, skipping vacations. Sarah's mom, Linda, had fallen on hard times. Her husband left her, she lost her job, the usual stuff. Sarah felt bad for her. I understood that. So when Linda asked if she could stay with us for a few months, I said yes. Linda was at our place for 8 months. During that time, she helped with groceries and cooking. She seemed like she was getting back on her feet. Then she moved into her own apartment. But something felt off to me. Our account balance kept dropping. I checked our statements, and we were missing money. Like a lot of money. Random withdrawals, 500 here, 2,000 there. I couldn't figure it out. I thought maybe Sarah was spending without telling me, but that didn't make sense. We always talked about big purchases. I asked her about it one night. We were sitting on the couch watching TV. "Hey, I need to talk about the savings account," I said. Sarah froze. Actually froze. She didn't look at me. "What about it?" she said. "We're missing like 30 grand. Where is it going?" She got up and walked to the kitchen. I followed her. "Sarah, seriously, I need to know what's happening." She turned around and her eyes were red. She'd been crying, but I was angry, so that didn't matter to me at first. "It's my mom," she said quietly. I stared at her. "What do you mean it's your mom?" "She needed money. She was struggling. She asked me for help." "So you just gave her $30,000 from our account?" "Not at once. Over time. She said she'd pay it back." "Sarah, she's been stealing from us, using the debit card. That's not giving her money. That's theft. She's my mother. I don't care if she's the Queen of England. That's our money, our house down payment. You knew about this and you didn't tell me?" Sarah started crying harder. "I knew you'd be mad." "I'm not mad. I'm broken. You lied to me. For how long? How long have you known about this?" "Since the beginning. Since she first asked." I sat down. I couldn't stand. 3 years. 3 years of lies. "Where's the money now?" I asked. "She spent it. On her apartment. On living expenses. On a car." I called Linda the next day. She didn't answer. I texted her. Nothing. I drove to her apartment. She didn't answer the door. I left a message saying I knew everything and we needed to talk. Sarah begged me not to pursue it. "It'll ruin our relationship with her," she said. Our relationship is already ruined, I told her. The one that's ruined is us. I filed a report for theft and fraud. Linda eventually got served with papers. She claimed she never stole anything, that Sarah gave her permission. Sarah backed her up in a statement. That destroyed me. But here's where it gets real. The police found out Linda had done this to 3 other people before. 3 other families. She had a pattern, targeting people with money, getting close to them, slowly draining their accounts. Sarah had to testify against her own mother. The prosecutor showed the judge everything. Linda got 2 years in prison. Sarah's relationship with her mom is done, and so is ours. Sarah moved out last month. She wanted to work on things, but I couldn't look at her without thinking about the lies. About how she chose her mom over me, over us. We're selling the house we were going to buy. I'm taking half of what's left and moving on. Sarah's in therapy now. Her therapist told her she has a pattern of enabling her mom's behavior. I don't hate Sarah, but I can't be with someone who will lie to my face to protect someone who's stealing from me. That's not a partnership. My manager demanded I write down every single thing I did at work. He had no idea that rule would destroy his entire career. I worked at a marketing firm called Bright Media for about 5 years. The place was okay, nothing special. My manager was this guy named Derek. He was in his mid-40s, always stressed, always complaining about how nobody worked hard enough. One day Derek called a team meeting. There were 8 of us on the marketing team. He walked in with this angry look on his face. I don't know what you people are doing all day, he said, but I'm tired of it. From now on, I want a detailed log, every task, every email, every meeting, every single thing you do. I want to see where my time is going. My coworker Sarah raised her hand. Derek, that's going to take hours. We'll spend more time writing reports than actually working. I don't care, he snapped. You think you're working hard? Prove it. Write it down, detailed, every day, or you're out. He meant it too. Derek was the type who would fire you for being 5 minutes late. So we started doing it. Every morning I'd create a spreadsheet. I'd log everything. 9 a.m. responded to client emails. 9:15 a.m. met with design team about banner ad. 9:45 a.m. revised copy for social media posts. Lunch, 12 to 1 p.m. 1 p.m. attended Derek's meeting about Q3 goals. 1:30 worked on Facebook campaign metrics. I was incredibly detailed. I included everything. Every break, every bathroom trip, every time I walked to get coffee, every time I chatted with a coworker for 30 seconds, every time I checked my phone. 2 weeks in, Derek called me into his office. Why are you taking so many breaks, he asked, looking at my log. You asked me to write down everything I do, I said. I'm writing it down. But this looks like you're not working the whole time. I'm following your rule, everything. That's what you said. He didn't like that answer, but he couldn't say anything. The other team members caught on. We all started being super detailed. Sarah logged that she spent 15 minutes helping a new intern understand the filing system. Mike logged that he spent 20 minutes in a meeting with Derek that was unrelated to client work. Jessica logged that she spent 10 minutes listening to Derek complain about his marriage. After a month, Derek asked to see all our logs. He started adding them up. He realized that if you included everything, breaks, bathroom, meetings, water cooler chat, we were each only doing about 5 or 6 hours of actual billable work per day. The rest was just stuff that happens when you work. But here's the thing. Derek had been telling the company owners that the team was underperforming. He'd been saying we were lazy. Now he had documentation, his own documentation, showing that his constant meetings, his interruptions, his random demands, they were eating up 2 to 3 hours of each person's day. The owners noticed. They looked at the logs. They saw that Derek was scheduling meetings almost every day, some days 3 or 4 meetings. They saw that he was the one pulling us away from actual work. One of the owners, a woman named Catherine, called Derek in. Derek, these logs show that you're holding more meetings than any other manager in the company. You're interrupting your team constantly. Why? I'm trying to keep them on track, Derek said. But the logs show they're less productive with you micromanaging. The other teams, they have fewer meetings and higher output. Derek tried to argue. These people are lazy. That's why I need to. The logs are your own documentation, Catherine said. They don't support that. 2 weeks later, Derek was fired. Not just moved to a different position. Fired. The company said he was creating a hostile work environment and reducing team productivity. The best part? The new manager didn't ask us to keep logging everything. She just let us work. And guess what? Our output went up. Way up. I still have those spreadsheets saved on my computer. Sometimes I look at them and smile. My boss fired me on a Friday afternoon for not responding to an email during my daughter's hospital visit. I worked at this marketing firm called Bright Path Solutions for 4 years. My boss was this guy named Derek, 52 years old, and he was the kind of manager who checked his phone every 5 seconds and expected everyone else to do the same. The job paid $58,000 a year, which was fine for my area, but Derek made sure we earned every penny. Thursday morning, my daughter Emma called me at work. She's 8 years old. She said her stomach really hurt, and the school nurse thought she needed to go to the hospital. I told Derek I had to leave. He didn't say no, but he gave me this look like I was abandoning the company. I spent 4 hours at the hospital with Emma. Turned out she had appendicitis and needed surgery. I was holding her hand in the pre-op room while she cried. My phone was on silent in my pocket. There was no way I was checking it. During surgery, Derek sent me an email about a client presentation due Monday. Just one email at first, then another, then another. 5 emails total, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. I didn't see any of them. Emma came out of surgery fine. The doctor said she'd be okay. I stayed with her until visiting hours ended at 9 p.m. Then I drove home and finally turned my phone on. 23 messages, mostly from Derek. Friday morning, I got to the office at 8:30 a.m. Derek called me into his office before I even sat down. You didn't respond to a single email yesterday, he said. He wasn't angry. That was worse. He was just stating a fact like I'd broken a rule. My daughter had emergency surgery, I said. I was at the hospital. You could have checked your email, Derek said. Just once. It would have taken 2 minutes. She was in surgery, Derek. I was in the pre-op room with her. He leaned back in his chair. Look, I need people I can count on. People who are available. That client presentation is worth $80,000 to this company. If you can't respond to emails in a timely manner, I don't know if you're the right fit here. My 8-year-old daughter was having her appendix removed, I said. My voice was shaking. And you're talking about an email. It's not about the email, Derek said. It's about showing up. It's about commitment. I've shown up for 4 years. I've worked weekends. I've stayed late. I've hit every deadline. And I appreciate that, Derek said. But this is the second time this month you've been unavailable. I hadn't been unavailable. I'd taken 1 day off for my mom's birthday. You know what? I think we need to go in a different direction, Derek said. I'm going to have to let you go. HR will have your severance paperwork ready by noon. I just stared at him. You're firing me because I didn't check my email while my daughter was in surgery. I'm letting you go because you're not meeting my expectations for availability. I walked out of his office and packed my stuff. HR gave me 2 weeks severance, which was basically nothing. I'd been there 4 years. They could have given me more, but Derek probably told them not to. Here's what saved me. I'd been keeping detailed records. Every project I completed. Every client I brought in. Every email Derek sent me at 11 p.m. on weekends. Every time he yelled at someone in a meeting. I had screenshots of everything. I called a lawyer. Turns out Derek had a pattern. He'd fired 3 other people in the past 2 years under similar circumstances. One guy got let go for attending his father's funeral. Another got fired for being 30 minutes late after a car accident. The lawyer said we had a solid case for wrongful termination. Derek had created a hostile work environment and fired me in retaliation for taking time off for a medical emergency. That's illegal. It took 6 months, but Derek settled. He paid me $47K to make it go away. The firm also agreed to update their policies around emergency time off. Derek's still there, but he's not the same. Turns out when the firm got sued, other employees started talking. They knew about his behavior. HR got involved. He's no longer allowed to make hiring and firing decisions without approval from corporate. Emma's doing great. She's in 4th grade now and back to normal. Derek's not.